Hello and welcome to episode 14 of the No Balls Cricket podcast. We are now into IPL mode and doing a weekly IPL roundup. As you see, we have Niket back for two episodes in a row after he had disappeared for 2 months. Good
And
to have
we're
Niket
still going
back
to
on.
talk about the Chennai pitch.
Chennai pitch will never cease to be a talking point. And we have, all of you know the bald idiot that Siddhant Pradhan is, but now we have to mention that his club cricket career is being revived.
Yeah, it is. I haven't been called in yet, but yes, it is. I've been invited to go train with the University of Manchester Cricket Club. So seems like I'm
There
moving up
you
in
go.
the world.
There you go.
Yeah.
And did you play in the snow or something this week?
There was no snow this week. It's been bright,
Last
sunny
week? No,
cricket
no, no,
weather.
last week. What do you think? Last week you were saying it was they had called you in for training, but then it was snowing.
Yeah, so they cancelled the training last week, and I think they were trying to reorganize this week, but I don't think they
Ah,
managed it, so they haven't called me back.
hmm.
Excuses.
Cricket in the Manchester snow.
I
That should
know
be fun.
that. Not looking forward to that, to be quite honest. Hoping it's all over. Anyway, right? Yeah, obviously Niketullah with us, Mr. Devrat, the man with the. Can we just chop off the man bun? Like it's time
Can
now,
I
man.
mention by the can I mention by the way, I think now my man bun should be off the table for discussion because who has seen Rahul Chahar's man bun?
It's
It
still
is
better than yours.
it is so bad. He has braids and then a man bun. He has literally this part of his hair is braided and then he has a man bun. I don't know what he's doing.
Also, have you guys seen Hardik Pandya's Instagram? Because him and Kunal are doing some like weird dance moves.
Weird dancing, you know. Yeah, Hardik Pandya's Instagram is always source of
It's
entertainment.
just solidly entertaining, isn't it?
Alternate carriers to the IPL.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Funny that we haven't had much from Chris Gale this week.
I think he's trying to focus on his batting.
Why? Because he has to bat at 3 now.
Yeah, and he has to live up to the claim of being the best number 3 in the world, which he's not doing well so far.
Anyway,
But on that note,
we shall move on. Traditionally, we would start with a roundup, but because this is basically the IPL roundup and everything that we're doing, we're going to do it 2020 in 20.
yes, we are trying to do a 20-minute episode. SP has decided he has full license to tell us to shut up if we're talking too much, so that we can finish in 20 minutes.
So I'm going to hit the record button. No, I meant the timer button. Sorry.
I would hope you've already hit the record button. I don't want to do all of this all over again.
I have hit the record button. I'm going to start the timer, and we are going to go through our list of talking points from the first week of the IPL.
Right. First off, what is up with the whole overrate crackdown that has not really happened so far, despite overrates being ridiculously slow?
Clearly, they decided to give Dhoni a fine, make him like the chief scapegoat, and be like, "Bhai, तूने बहुत slow over डाला है. Here's your fine." And that the funny thing was, the first game of the IPL went an hour and 20 minutes over. That game actually went 40 minutes over. And Dhoni was the one who got fined.
And the first game, no one got fined. Neither
First
Rohit
game,
Sharma nor Virat
exactly.
Kohli.
But I think halfway through that, they've given up, and now the games are ending about 45 minutes overtime. So I think the IPL has quietly given up on the whole overrate scenario. But I don't know, man. Like it was a good thing in theory, but practicality is very limited. As that's what it seems to me.
It's not being enforced. So.
I think there comes a time where we need to have things which are just not the usual. So I think the grounds this time was one of the out of the syllabus, and now this. So let's see what's next year. seven foreigners and 4 Indian players.
7 foreigners and 4. I think
this is the way some of the foreigners have been playing. I think most teams won't fill their foreigners quota in that case.
No, and if you're Virat Kohli, he only wants himself and 10 other Aussies.
10 Aussies. We'll get there.
We'll get there. But no, I mean, obviously we want overrates to be quicker. I mean, they take far too long, man. And literally, it's like you have 2.5 minutes strategic timeout where you can get your drink and do all of that jazz. But every time there's a wicket or at the end of the over or something, the 12th man's constantly running on with fresh pair of gloves, fresh pair of undies, I don't know. I mean, in the middle, he may even bring a pie, like give the guy ice cream or something. Literally, it's become that annoying.
And the whole thing was that you have to finish your innings in 90 minutes. I can't remember. I don't think I've seen a single innings that finished in 90 minits.
No,
so
so
far.
that's what I'm saying. This whole overrate thing is like the BJP government. It's a sham.
Acha, one political statement ho gaya.
Ho gaya,
So then
but we'll have we're going to have more later on
Overrated,
in this
underrated.
but yeah, that's my take on the overrate scheme. Right, time to move on.
Next talking point. Indian openers have been creating a conundrum for selectors for the World Cup because Prithvi Shaw's hit form again. Shubman Gill's in form. I mean, iffy form, but like he started off really well today. Shikhar Dhawan is surprising everyone. KL Rahul, in fact, I think the two entrenched openers, or the three, if we're going to call Virat Kohli an opener also, are the ones who probably have not done the best so far, between Rohit Sharma and Rahul, who scores decent amount of runs, but no longer as quickly as he used to. And then Kohli, the opener, has been hit and miss, I think, so far.
I don't know. I mean, RCB have started off winning, so I think Kohli's form at this point is secondary to them actually winning. Also, Rohit Sharma is playing in the Mumbai Indians on that ridiculous Chennai surface, so I don't hold it against him for scoring slowly and not making that many runs. Rahul obviously has been playing they've played all their games at the Wankhede Stadium so far, him and Shikhar Dhawan.
But I think if you look at it head to head, I feel like so far Dhawan's done better compared to Rahul.
I think Dhawan out of all of them, especially today, was absolutely unbelievable. He's absolutely murdered it today. That was some inning, and he was just toying with the bowling after a point, really.
It seems really interesting how teams have suddenly, they've not gone on with the opinion of having a full-fledged opener in, but having one of their top batsmen open the inning. So I think it just come down to the point where the best batsman in the team has to face as many number of balls. So it's definitely interesting to see how Nitish Rana, who was a number 3 batsman or 4 batsman most of the times, they've got him to open. They've got and of course, I think this whole trend started up with Rohit Sharma coming up a few years ago, and now Kohli as well. So I think it's no more an opener slot, but your best batsman coming straight about there.
I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense because you want your best batsman to play the most. You have to give the best batsman time. So I guess that makes a huge difference. The other thing, I think with KKR, they don't really have a choice. So, I mean, who else is going to open? DK.
I think their other plan would ideally be Sunil Narine if he is fit and confident and everything. But until that happens,
I think you don't play Narine until he bowls anyway. And with him being slightly sort of dicey about it, I don't think they're going to go down that road. But exactly. I mean, obviously the openers have done really, really well.
But in all of this, I think the only person who's left hanging is Gale. It's like, maine kya galti kiya, bhai?
Yeah, but Gale doesn't want to open. Gale has decided he wants to bat at number 3.
Perfect.
Perfect.
In fact, we're talking about Indian openers. I didn't mention Mayank Agarwal, who also played a really good innings today.
Yeah. Right, time to move on.
You've got like 5-6 Indian openers, but time to move on.
Time to move on. What is the next topic?
Am I the only person who?
Yes, you are.
Okay, the Sanju Samson incident.
Okay, let's put it in terms that slightly older viewers will understand. He tried to be Javed Miandad, but he's too shit.
Listen, I don't think I think that's a really harsh thing to say about him because he played a fantastic innings that day. And he's also just generally been a decent T20 batsman over the last year and a half or so.
But he does this. He does this.
I will also, by the way, always love Sanju Samson for the pure reason it has nothing to do with him. It's just the fact that Rajasthan has decided we don't want Steve Smith captain. We don't want him in the side. So we're going to give the captaincy to Sanju Samson. Like ultimate respect.
No, man. Just.
Anyway, listen. Okay, so
talking about the Make in India campaign, one of the second politics.
Oh God.
But anyway, going back to the actual, does anyone really debate? Does anyone really have an issue with Sanju Samson not taking that single? I thought it was the right call.
I mean, I did because it's easier for Chris Morris to try and hit a boundary, and he proved it in the next game that he could. It's easier for him to try and hit a boundary and win the game as opposed to Samson not taking the single and then trying to clear the fence.
Having to hit a six. That is fair. But also he'd been, timing the
He was
pants off of
struggling.
every ball so far.
Yeah, but it
Uh,
didn't. I mean,
I think Morris did face a couple of deliveries and he did struggle a bit. And I think it just came down to a point saying that I think Sanju just fell short by a few yards again. If that was converted, that would have been one of the best IPL innings ever. So
yeah, then the inevitable Dhoni comparisons would have started. But thank fuck he didn't manage to do it. Because I can't deal with that. No. Anyway, on that note, time to move on.
So our next point was our next point DK actually.
It was DK, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was perfect timing. So and so when I was listing this point as DK being a talking point, it was because he had come off this innings of 22 off 6, and then since then he's done nothing.
Yeah, but that's DK. I mean, we all know he basically launched a second wind of a career with 122 of 6. And then, or was it 28 or 6 or 24? I can't fucking remember now. It doesn't matter.
Basically, the Bangladesh innings. That's all we do.
But whatever. The point being, he does that. And he's great in a situation where you have nothing to lose. And it's a difficult pitch to sort of, because he's a sort of inventive batsman. He's not going to clear fences or anything like that. But then, as per the rest of DK's career, that was it. That's all he can do.
And the funny thing is, I think the moment that first innings happened, I like every single thing I saw on Twitter was, I can't believe the DK doesn't have a spot in this Indian side. He's the only natural finisher they have, etc., etc. And then since then, he's not been able to really finish off an innings at all.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it's DK. I mean, the guy was like unceremoniously dumped as KKR captain.
To be fair, he resigned. There's a difference. It was a dignified exit from the captaincy.
He was dumped.
I think that the interesting bit is going to be post the IPL is if he makes it to the finishers role in the Indian team, then Sid has to probably shave off half of his hair.
Okay, all right, fine. Let's do this. Let's put this on record. No, I'm not talking about shaving half my head. But I swear to God, if DK ever makes it to the Indian team again, Armageddon would have hit. Like
okay,
literally.
So
I mean,
no. We need to put you on the spot here. You need to like do something. I think if there has to be like a bet component here. If DK makes it to the World Cup squad, or forget the World Cup squad, even the T20 series warm-up series we have before the World Cup, if he's in the probables then and makes it to a squad.
No, come on, you can't give it to me for probables, man. He'll probably make it to the probables just because the Indian selectors, for some reason, just love him. They like want to give him like hugs or something.
Yeah, fine. If DK is in the World Cup squad, what are you willing to do? How are you willing to embarrass yourself?
If you had a mustache, we would have had a different bet. But then, yeah.
How about this?
The man bun.
You can't grow enough hair for a man.
I don't think that's possible. No, but how about this? I will grow a mustache, a proper one, and keep it for a bit. Like a good 2 episodes, I will keep the mustache on if DK makes it to the World Cup squad. And I hate mustaches.
Okay, fine, done.
All right. How about that?
Done.
Okay, it's on air, so you guys can hold us to it.
Okay, so now I'm praying for more good DK innings.
On that happy note, time to move on.
Right. Our favorite moment of the first week of the IPL. And the award-winning moment, though we will do the award.
In a bit, yeah.
But if no one saw this in Mumbai's second match.
Second match
against who were they playing? I can't even remember now.
They were losing to somebody. They were playing RCB.
No. RCB
KKR.
was the game they lost. No, this is against KKR. When they were in the middle of, when it looked like it was, KKR were cruising to win. Rohit Sharma, the captain, decides to bring on one very special ace up his sleeve bowler himself, and in the run up,
and almost gave up his trophy in that move.
In the run up to his first ball of the over, first he falls over and twists his ankle.
And the beautiful bit about that was, do you know the test series when he tried to copy when he copied Harbhajan Singh and did that whole weird hop and skip? He didn't even try any of that. He did 2 steps and then he starts limping like that.
He literally, and it's not like he's not a fast bowler. He's a spinner. for what it's worth. But somehow in his short two-step delivery as a spinner, in his run-up stride, he somehow manages to land awkwardly on his ankle, twist it, and we have a 5-minute delay there as he tries recovering. And then, to be fair, he then nearly gets a wicket off his first ball.
And that was the unacademy game-changing moment.
Oh my God. No, that was just there's been a lot of shit that has happened in the IPL in this last week. And I think a lot of it is down to the Chennai pitch. But I think Rohit Sharma bowling, that was also down to the Chennai pitch.
Probably. Yeah, because they don't have a third spinner. So therefore Rohit Sharma's a third spinner. But we will move on very quickly because that's what we've been doing the entire time. I want to make one very quick point about Rohit Sharma and bowling. So I think one stat that came out of the first two Mumbai games is the first two MI games of this season were the first times ever in the IPL that an opposition bowler had gotten a 5 against Mumbai. There was one in each game. One was Harshal Patel, and I can't remember who did it for KKR. Andre Russell did. So the first ever 5. Yeah. So before these, the best ever bowling figures against Mumbai Indians. You want to tell me who it was?
Let me guess. It's Shahbaz Nadeem or something stupid like that.
Nope. It is Rohit Sharma. It is Rohit Sharma.
Deccan Chargers.
Oh, is that the one where he got a hat-trick against him?
4 for 9 for Deccan Chargers.
No. Oh, that is brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. Wow. That record should have stood for all eternity, man. That would have been the irony of that whole situation. Anyway, again, swiftly moving on to the Chennai pitch now.
Yes.
And
Chennai pitch expert, can you please tell us what is going on with this slow, low pitch, which makes for 35 overs of bowling cricket and then a collapse at the end? Boring cricket, not bowling cricket, so though it may be the same at this point.
The surprise element was again today's pitch.
Where RCB somehow managed 200. De Villiers, I think, played out of his skin. That's what happened there.
No, and Maxwell was absolutely mental.
Probably one of the nicest IPL innings we've actually come across, both with ABD and Maxwell, bashing it all across the park.
I mean, we know AB's quality, but Glenn Maxwell has found his mojo again, and he's something, man.
It's good. I think we can get into this in the next.
RCB back in form with at least with a settled 11 now.
Yeah, I'm surprised with some picks that they made so far, but yeah, one of the Shahbazes was one. But anyway, back to the actual talking about Chennai pitch.
Chennai pitch. No, so basically the thing is, right, that you have this. I mean, T20 cricket, you want lots of runs. Like you want a pitch like Wankhede, which makes for really interesting games, like the one we just saw.
Or you want, I don't mind a bowler-friendly pitch where lots of wickets are falling. That's not the case here.
100 versus 100, I'll take also happily. But I don't want to see, 130 versus 130 is the most boring kind of T20. Because basically what you're watching is batsmen struggle to time the ball and then just getting frustrated and throwing their wickets away. And then, so it's really boring. As you said, it's boring for 35 overs. And then the last 5 overs, God knows what happens, whether it's fixed or not. Or it just becomes a giant shit show.
It's basically because suddenly the batsmen who need to start scoring quickly and they can't because the pitch doesn't let you. I'm perfectly happy with. I will take a minefield also. Every ball turning 5 meters square. It's not really great for T20 cricket, but I will watch. But this is like it just the ball doesn't get up. It never comes onto the bat. It's just a slow, low turner where you can play 30 off 30, but the moment you want to get 10 off the next 5, you will get out.
But again, what surprises at this point is that it's a pitch which does work for both. I mean, I think Bolt and Bumrah did show that even the pacers, if bowled at the right places, could actually get some things out of it. So it's not just a spin-friendly tag. So I think as you said, as it said again, it's a bowler-friendly in general. Yeah, which makes life difficult for the batsman.
No, but it's
complete
the thing is, it's not like properly bowler friendly where like things are happening every second ball. It's a very tacky, slow wicket where it's like you almost have to grind your opposition down, which doesn't make for good T20 cricket. Let's just put it that way.
I think the word is it's attritional cricket.
Yeah.
A test cricket would be fun on this because
Yeah.
not a lot would happen maybe for you'd have a day of very slow cricket, but that works for test cricket because you have this slow burning intensity in the background of test cricket all the time. You don't want that in a 20 over game.
I mean, then it brings out the other thing it does is it'll bring out like stupid fucking matchups like Shahbaz Ahmed versus fake Shahbaz against real Shahbaz.
Or Rohit Sharma bowling.
Yeah, I just believe me, nobody wants to see that. I do not care about Shahbaz Nadeem, and I care even less so about fake Shahbaz Nadeem. And yet somehow Chennai is the only place in the entire country which will bring out these crap, 1-2 over kind of slow spinners and bullshit like that. And no wonder Chennai do so well at that fucking ground. It's built for a team that's like that.
It's a Dhoni love. There's a reason Dhoni love that pitch. Yeah.
Yeah,
no strike rate. One of the wickets were no strike rate, no run rate.
Absolutely. No strike rate, no run rate, and no wickets either.
SP, how are we doing on time?
We are not doing well on time. Move on. And of course, we're down to our last thing, so I think we should be okay.
Yes, okay. The last thing is what our Aussie hate and Aussie love.
I mean, we've already spoken about that. Virat Kohli's Aussie love and your Aussie hate. But I honestly feel that there are way too many Aussies and a lot of them are like seriously overrated.
Yeah, I think there's that Australian reputation of like, and I think the Big Bash may have inflated a lot of reputations actually, because a lot of these players who have done well in the Big Bash aren't really doing great. Here, Riley Meredith being one. Dan Christian was a surprise pick for all of us, like how he got back into the IPL, and he hasn't done much for RCB. Steve Smith, who is obviously not, he's a class above from the rest, but as a T20 batsman, he's not great, and he's only had one inning so far for Delhi, but it went as expected. So I think a lot of Australian players who are just probably not really performing well in the IPL, and I'm happy to see it. Apart from when it's Chris Lynn for Mumbai, because I do want Mumbai to do well, but other than that, yeah.
Okay, moving on. Because we had only one person to speak about it, the man with the Aussie hate, Pona. We have 30 seconds left. Last thing, of course, on the entire list is that it's exactly as we predicted.
Yeah, the only surprise so far is Hyderabad not losing all their games so far. Yeah. But Delhi doing well, Mumbai doing well. RCB have surprised us a little bit, but I mean...
It's RCB, they'll struggle and fall off a cliff sooner or later.
Yeah. Delhi Mumbai looking like the class of the tournament so far.
Niket actually said Chennai would have a good chance, but they were good in that game. But anyway,
I think things get interesting when they move grounds. So I think that then things spark up again.
That is our timer.
Oh,
we have
we went through our whole list.
We will finish up because we have actually gone through the entire list.
And we will. And Niket was finishing quite well actually on the Chennai, so we'll let him.
But I think on the finishing note, I think definitely seems an exciting prospect of the ABD call, which Adi had mentioned. Again, if South Africa gets a chance to rename and to not be called the Chokers again, I think ABD will definitely have to be a big role once if that happens. So again, playing in India, ABD getting back to the South African 11. I think that's the small possibility, but if that happens, I think the World Cup again gets interesting.
Yeah.
No, I mean, A.B. de Villiers coming in will make anything interesting. He's just an amazing cricketer. Absolutely amazing cricketer. Yeah, I mean, I guess, you have... So, I think Delhi and Mumbai are going to take 2 of the 4 slots. I don't think that has changed.
That's what we thought.
Because they're the 2 teams that have all bases covered. I think that you'll find the duking out for the other slots.
Yeah, where Sunrisers have hamstrung themselves by losing the first 3 games, when we thought they must be a pretty good candidate for one of the other 2 slots. Yeah.
Strange that, but anyway, let's see how it progresses.
I think we can even try now taking into account Punjab as well. The only team who scored a couple of 200s with bowling, they're just not able to contain and stop 200s twice now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Riley Meredith is just terrible. Like it's just yeah.
Does Punjab have any other seamer? Do you think that can replace them?
Sandeep Sharma. No, he plays for Hyderabad. Sorry. They should have kept him. I don't think so. Honestly, I think they're a team that has had this big gap in their pace bowling for a while now, and it's never gone away. I'm surprised I haven't seen much of Ravi Bishnoi in this IPL, which I thought people would have played him more.
I think basically what's happened with Punjab is they've decided to ape the RCB uniform. They've also ended up aping the RCB fast bowling quality.
No, this guy isn't even test match quality. He's just crap. At least with RCB, you have like test match quality fast bowlers.
Point being, they're not good death bowlers in T20 cricket. That was true of RCB. That is now true of Punjab.
Punjab also. Last thing before.
But it's not IPL related. Yes.
Not IPL related. But since we're going to move on to our awards segment, I think there's 2 awards to give out today, and both of them are just complete genius. One, of course, Mr. Rohit Sharma for providing us with probably the moment of the entire week by rolling his ankle over while bowling. Before he's even bowled a ball, he has managed to roll his ankle. That's how brilliant it was. And if you haven't seen it, honestly, I think Rob will probably put it up on his channel at some point just for the sheer... in 10 years' time, Rob is like, I wanted to find something absolutely golden and Rohit Sharma being a complete moose. And then that clip comes up. So, Rohit Sharma, winner of one of our No Balls Cricket Awards for what do you give this award out? Just you win the award.
I don't know, just the No Balls Cricket Award.
You just win the award. Secondly,
but honorable mention too.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was setting you up.
Oh, secondly, our No Balls Cricket Award for just pure shithousery goes to Heat Streak. Now, if anybody has seen the rest of the cricket news this week, Heat Streak has not only been banned from from coaching or any cricket related activities by the ICC for 8 years. I think it should be a life ban, but that's a separate issue. But we're not being serious here. He, however, wins the award because apparently Mr. X, who is some bookie from Delhi, has paid him to provide some information. Now, he paid him in 2 things. Bitcoin, which he then cashed out for $35,000 US. And, wait for it, he has actually gifted Heat Streak's wife a new iPhone. You can't make this up, man. So Heat Streak, winner of No Balls Cricket Award for shithousery. But on a more serious note, can we actually discuss this? Because it seems a bizarre thing. It's the same.
It is a very bizarre thing.
It's the same bookie, apparently, that was the one related to the breach that Shakib had a couple years ago.
Where he didn't report the breach and he was suspended.
Yeah.
I would hope someone is just like, I'm hoping the police are looking into him. Since I don't really know what Indian police is doing with actual other criminals, then they can at least maybe look into this guy.
Yeah, possibly, but they're
third political statement of the day.
They're far busier upturning haath gadi walas on the side of the road selling vegetables in the middle of a pandemic. Fourth political statement of the day, and there will be more as we carry on through this. No, Nikhil, we had this discussion on a previous podcast. I don't think you were there for it, where we spoke about,
a while ago.
Yeah, Shahil Khan when he got picked for the Pakistan T20 squad, and we had this whole argument about match fixing. Where do you stand on this? Do you think life bans, or should they just be? We came to the conclusion then that Shahil should have been banned from international cricket. He would still be able to play PSL and CPL and all the other leagues, but he would not be allowed to represent Pakistan. That would have been our conclusion. Where do you stand on the whole match fixing thing? And of course, with the Heat Streak thing now coming up as a coach.
I think one of the most live case examples which we saw closest to our proximity was Srishant going through it, and I think just banning them from the international circuit will definitely not, because today there's opportunities out there to to encash and to keep your careers going. We have enough and more IPL players who really don't care about international representation anymore. So I think genuinely any kind of a timed ban is good. So you're at least hoping that you will get back, but by the time you get back, you're already too far now. So I think Srishant has probably tried getting back into the Kerala team, and not much has happened since then. He tried. He was even there at the IPL auctions, but completely went unnoticed. I think that's more a severe case where it's a timed ban but a complete ban. So you've already gone past your era, and suddenly when you wake up, it's too late now.
I would have. On a lighter note, though, I agree with everything that both of you have said about fixing in general. I would have enjoyed seeing Srishant back in cricket.
Who would have not enjoyed seeing Srishant back in cricket?
That is true.
Only the difference now is he's puffed up with about a 7-inch bicep, and
yeah, I know. Yeah, the Srishant of 2011 is gone, and you get this big buff hooligan now.
I imagine him standing in front of Harbhajan now and be like.
He'd still get slapped. Oh God. Yeah, and
that's what fixing does.
On that very funny and happy note, that is our show for today. It has been rapid fire. We've done pretty well, guys, I must say.
Yeah. IPL portion was actually done in 20 minutes. So we've done
it. Was, definitely. Yeah. So that's our show. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and
hit the subscribe ghanta button / Now SP has in fact done us a huge favor and got a floating subscribe button to go around the video quite often. So.
Yeah, it's somewhere there, so just click on it.
Yes.
You guys know the drill.
Yeah, exactly. And otherwise, if you're listening to us on Spotify, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, I think I'm missing one.
Apple, Google, Spotify, Podcast Addict, and Anchor.
Anchor, yes. Sorry. Keep listening to us there and follow us on whichever platform you are if you're not already doing so.
Thanks for watching. We will be back next week with another one of these.
See you guys.
See you.